Hello, I'm Lena. Welcome to Karma, my sustainable podcast. Today, I will speak with Christian Murray from SOILWATER Limited.
How did I get here again?
Okay. Hello, Christian. Welcome to my podcast.
Hello, Lena. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sure. Would you like to introduce yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name is Christian John Murray, and I was born in England and raised in Canada back in the late 70s. So I grew up in the age of analog to digital transference. I did a 30-year career in the Hollywood film industry as an on-set technician, rising up through the industry, working on very many popular movies. One that most people remember is the movie Jumanji with Robin Williams.
Wow. Okay.
So I worked on that film as a grip. And
Mhm.
grip's a technical job. We work with camera and lighting.
Mhm.
So I'm also a certified carpenter. I went to college and I've had many certifications in various industries and being a hobby scientist. And I am a highly expert visionary pioneer of virtual reality, which I started in 1995. So,
Wow.
and then today I live here in England and I moved into sustainability
Yes.
in 2014. I
Mhm.
decided to end my prior career and see about getting around to what the world needs and if I could help in any way. And here I am today.
That sounds great. So maybe I can ask you directly, what was your motivation then to found SOILWATER Limited?
Well, I'll tell you the truth of it is that I worked around the Hollywood filmmaking machine for a lot of my life, and I became very type of negative about the way the industry moved over the years. And I also saw, as you get older in life, you start to look back and you can see things. And I saw great wastes of technology, great technologies that never came to market. There are beautiful things that were invented a long time ago who could actually help us today. And then the consistent resale of products inefficient and not fit for use, such as the Microsoft Windows platform. An ineffective tool being hacked all over the place. And, we could have thousands of independent operating systems that would be completely unhackable in the world. So anyway, apart from that, I said, okay, I've been involved in deep tech, but I love food and I understand the environment is going down. So time to get to work for real. And so I gave up, or I transitioned more, should we say, from being the unaware, narcissistic, Western consuming, self-caring individual, and finally found spirit and empathy for myself, which has now allowed me to extend this to the world.
Wow. Okay, so then could you explain us what is SOILWATER Limited and what you're doing there?
Yeah, so SOILWATER Limited was a company that was initiated after many years of R&D. So when I moved into sustainability in 2014, I got to meet some very creative individuals out of America through a dear friend of mine. And they had invented this incredible new system for making things really tiny, powders. And basically, today we crush things. We pound them, we grind them, and we destroy a lot of the material. And this new machine pulls particles apart by using gravity. And so it preserves everything and does a beautiful job making it tiny micron size. And they had taken an existing water industry product called a flocculant. And flocculant is a material that binds other materials together in a catalytic way. And this flocculant could be put in soil and it would restructure the soil. It would retain the nutrients in the water and keep it all close to the hair roots of the plant. And when the plant asks for it, give it to them. And I went, wow, this is incredible because we have soil erosion. And then I got so excited, I set myself on a mission to the point where here we are 7, 8 years later.
Mm-hmm.
And today we have this company in England, and we're part of a global network of companies distributing this Rescaype product, but
Yes.
it's related to the socio-economic values. So we have this direct action product for the soil and lots of science. We have a PhD on staff, and this has been studied all over the world, and we're working very well with commercial people right now. But we're also developed the world's first circular economy soil and water model for agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
so that we can align direct actions in the environment under environment, social governance frameworks, which are in response to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. So what we do is that we know what the big picture is.
Mm-hmm.
We know about the Net Zero Banking Alliance and 50 trillion and 130 trillion and the big banks all agreeing. We know about the International Standards Organization and the new global sustainable taxonomy, the first of its kind on the planet ever. The
Mm-hmm.
one time we're all going to sign up together. So we said, wow, there's going to be a problem for farmers. Oh my God, they're going to get in real trouble here, because we come from deep tech, so we know how it all goes down in its development, growth profile, trending, adoption, adaptation, etc. And so we said we need to create a tool that will bring the information of science into a circular route of a circular knowledge economy, which is where you link the transparent data shares of all the relevant subjects. And this includes the economic community, the banks, and government legislation. So using a series of smart machine learning modules rather than AI, and using GIS, geographical information systems, which are a form of in visualizing very big data into visual context to help us more understand the lay of the land of the data. And so we're taking that, and we've signed up with Esri, the world's largest GIS provider. You also provide to the government that we need to convince to get on board, that you will be able to have a real-time field report. So you won't have to do annual reporting. The oncoming technologies of sensors, in-ground sensor technology, it's all developing rapidly now, because soil seems to have become a focus. So at SoilWater Limited, we provide Rescaype for you to put in your soil, and then we use Q-Soil for you to value the return on investment. This is all development. We're an SME, we're pre-revenue, and we're about to launch our consumer product by the end of the month for your home garden use. First time a professional product comes to the home garden.
Sounds great. Yeah.
Soil water.
Yeah. Sounds really great. So, I mean, you told me before that you officially changed your company name from Rescaype UK to SOILWATER Limited. Could you just quickly explain me like the connection between the two companies and the name?
Sure. So Rescaype is actually a product brand name. And the Rescaype is manufactured in Sweden by a company called Rescaype AB.
Yes.
But many, many years ago, before that company grew to where it is today, I dealt with the owners of the intellectual property directly. And so we're kind of like long-term friends, because I spent 6 years evangelizing the product. And it is only now, in the advent of the IPCC AR6 report and COP26, that it seems our time has come in the soil supply industry, where we're looking to help really make definitive nature conservancy increase gains whilst dealing with climate change impact mitigation. So Yeah.
Yeah.
So that we had to change the company name because we'd be just saying Rescaype, because we just needed to bring a focus to it, because
Yes.
there are people. Rescaype is presently in South America. Last year, we got the certification from the Mexico Secretariat de Agriculture for use of Rescaype in all Mexico national soils. We have incredible scientific evidence from over there. We have scientific evidence from over here too about this new formulation. And now what makes Rescaype special? Everybody wants
Yes,
to
this
know.
was, yeah.
What is this
Was
stuff
it
I'm
is?
talking
Yeah.
about? Okay, so back in the late 40s, a bunch of scientists who had experienced the Great Dust Bowl of America. There's a very famous global soil impact event that took place in the 1930s. And a whole pile of Texas and Wyoming blew away. And you know how big these states are. They're as big as countries in Europe. And imagine if all the topsoil blew off of Slovakia. Gone, bang. And that's what happened in the Southern Americas. So they said, wow, we got to do something to help the soil. And there's going to be all this new kind of farming coming up that's going to disturb soil with more tractors. And so by the 50s, they got a product called polyacrylamide formed. And it was kind of loosely based on a representation of nature. And we have a thing called the mycorrhizae fungi network in the soils. And these are the elemental transport carrier systems for nutrients and water from root to root within the soil. So how stuff gets distributed underground is through the fungi, the natural biota, right? Living stuff. But when you ruin your soil, that poor biota, all those living organisms, they just get killed. When you start putting down tons of chemicals, when you start doing this and you're running tractors, you got a problem. So if they built these crystals, and the idea was it would go in the store and it would build a similar structured network. It would keep the soil porous, stop it from acting. It would provide air spots, and it would has a chemistry effect where it attracts calcium, which is very good for soil. And then that attracts all the negative anion fertilizers. And it builds a little stream and along with water, and it would hold it very close to the plant hair roots, so that when the hair roots call for the nutrient, the water, Rescaype releases it to it. So it's like a little storage unit, but it's everywhere. And it helps biota. We've proven now that mycorrhizae fungi, we did a test, and certainly it helps mycorrhizae fungi biota recover in an incredible time limit, a very small amount of time. So it's a neutral thing that helps, and its key job is to keep the soil porous and keep the water there. But by effect of its nature and what it does keep the nutrients and the organic matter. So this is really important, because then when water comes into the conversation, why are we soil water? Well, you can't talk about soil unless you talk about water. So water effort is, we have to treat water. And off the fields are coming all this silt and organic matter, and it's loaded with nutrients of fertilizer, pesticides, and this is all going in the rivers. And eventually it has to end up at a treatment plant. And if you think about the reality of this is probably one of the greatest scientific challenges of our time now, is to deal with the way we treat water, completely a resketch. The water companies need to become NGOs. We have to separate profit from water in the fact that we all need water and reevaluate it. But once you've added Rescaype to your field, the water coming off is visually 100% clean. As far as you're concerned with your eye. And this is what we call reduced solute concentrations discharge, okay? And we've got scientific evidence showing a reduction in dissolved organic carbon. So we're showing that it's actually helping keeping carbon in the soil, because it's not coming out with the water, and none of your organic matter is coming out of the water, and the silt isn't. So now downstream, at the water treatment facility, all of a sudden, millions and millions of funding dollars, pounds, euros is saved because all that stuff hasn't come down the river from the field anymore. So we're working with big utility firms to get them involved, and that is why we are soil water. But the important thing to remember is that we should be like soil, water, air, because we do attribute gases, but in reality, it actually all starts at the soil. This is a key area. And then if you get that right, you get good biome. And if you get good soil and good biome, you get clean water, and so on and so on. It goes down the chain, better field health, increased plant yield, reduced fertilizers needed, reduced pesticides. And so that's where we are, just launching our way after 8 years R&D and 4 years active commercial R&D, and now we're just commercializing.
Yes. Okay, so this is what Rescaype, or I mean, like the more product, is it MPAM? Yes. What makes it a green technology, or that you can save chemicals?
Well, okay,
no?
So here we go. Now you have to deal with anthropology here. So one of the first things we have to do as we look to change towards the future is take a good 180-degree turn and take a darn good look at the past. And when I say the past, I talk 20,000 years. And we need to identify other cultural influences, impacts, because there's a lot of information now showing that prior cultures actually emulated where we're emulating what they did. Over resource use, over consumption, centralization of people to great cities, resource breakdown structure leads to revolution, leads to death of society. And this is all clearly mapped out against many societies in our past. So when we talk about change today, the human being of today, what it is that we need to go through in this manner, we have a world of chemicals and technology. You can't just stop using chemicals, and you can't just stop using technology. You have to ramp down. We ramped up to get here.
Yes.
Like our agricultural soil problems are 80 years in the making.
Yes, of course.
So here we are today going, okay, these guys are, this has been going on for 80 years, and now we have to create a solution to bring it back around. So Rescaype product is a mixture of sodium acrylate, not plastic, and acrylamide. Now, acrylamide gets all the hairs up on people who don't like chemicals because it is a known carcinogenic product. But we make it every day in our own lives. Nature creates it. It is available every time you cook food. And for meat eaters, if they are over a barbecue and they burn a steak and they breathe in that nice burning steak flavor that they love, that's the equivalent to smoking 10 normal cigarettes in carcinogenic impact. So there you go, just cooking meat. If you cook meat wrong, you get great doses of acrylamide. So there's all this stuff going on, and we have been using these crystals that were invented in the 50s because it turned out they wouldn't work on soil because they were too big. And so they went into the water industry, and we've been using it ever since. It's used in the orange juice industry to turbidity, to get all the lumps out of the orange juice. It's used in lipstick to make it glossy. And so we've been exposed to polyacrylamide for generations with as long as it's at a certain ratio of acrylamide to whatever else. So we have what we call food grade versions. Yeah, and then there are versions for the oiling industry and the mining industry and and there are thousands of different versions of polyacrylamide. We have found the one version, micronized it to 150 microns from 4,000, So it's a tiny amount needed now, only 1 gram per meter squared.
Mhm.
And it is a chemical,
Yes.
but it is 100% biodegradable, proven,
Mhm.
leaves no toxic residues whatsoever, because
Yes.
the people who invented this way back when were thinking nature.
Mhm.
We need to help nature. So if we're going to do a man-made thing, let's make it like nature would work.
Yes.
So yes, sometimes you need to use a better chemical to get rid of a bad chemical.
Mm.
And then from there, over time, because the problem is we have damaged the topsoil in 100 years. And, you know, that impact is like thousands of years to rebuild naturally. And that thousands of years, and we have growing population. Yeah. So the reality is we still need to produce food. So
Yes, of
everybody out
course.
there, I hate to tell you this, we are that the world will rely on chemicals for a good long time to come.
Hmm.
And there's no getting away from it. So what we need are the smart minds going, how do I adapt that downwards now?
Hmm.
What do I do to replace? What good tech do I have that I can use for good ethical purposes that can show we can use technology for good? So that's the truth of Rescaype. Yeah, it's a chemical. It's made using natural gas. This is unfortunate,
Yes.
but its value in return. Oh, here's a really great thing. So in commercial, you put it down once and you don't have to go look at it for years after that. You only do little boosters and it lasts years and years and years.
Hmm.
So you're looking at the most cost. So the nice thing is, it's like you look at some other things and they're, oh, I don't know, 15,000 pounds a hectare to, or $15,000 a hectare to install. You know, at Rescaype, it's, oh, $250.
Mm-hmm.
And you get 3 years out.
Mm-hmm.
So, and the ROI, the increased yields we've shown, we did a test in Mexico with an independent lab, and the strawberries that came out of the ground were 40% increased yield and 1.78 increase in sweetness on the Brix sweetness factor. Whilst the soil had a 40% increase in moisture retention.
Hmm.
This is all certified lab results for anybody who cared to look down the road. Sorry, I do go on, don't I?
No, it's okay. Strawberries are really good.
Yeah, we love strawberries. I did a really great test here. I got involved with a big commercial grower who's got they're not hydroponic, they're inert media. So they take a plant and they stick it in coconut husk and volcanic ash called vermiculite and koi. And then they drip 24/7 water and nutrients over the roots. And then they leave it, and the strawberries grow and they make, and then they put, it's great, they put little bugs in, they release bugs that will take care of any of the diseases. So there's no pesticide, but the roots are 24/7 drip, drip, drip. And then after they've flowered, they take these plants and they go off and use them as biomass because they're only good for one flowering, right? I took one of those plants, we have photo evidence 3 years later, sitting in a pot of soil. So I've taken a genetically built inert media plant and using Rescaype, transplanted it to soil, and it now fruits and lives a happy life outside as a natural plant. And the strawberries that come off it are incredible. And this is supposedly a dead plant.
Yeah.
No good to anybody anymore. So we show here certain attitudes where soil water, we speak holistically about, you know what, we could take those plants, a little bit of risk, and everybody could have a strawberry plant at home. Yeah, you're only going to get 12, 14 strawberries. But they're yours, it's your plant, and you're helping carbon. Just with a lovely strawberry plant that was going to be thrown away. And now there's enough nutrition in there to supply a valuable dose of vitamins to an individual for one day. So I don't know if you know, but in England, there are over 3 people officially declared with malnutrition.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
every Western country, we're loaded with malnutrition. White people, you look at them, they're actually malnutrition. They don't have the right minerals. And we also have a new study come out that shows that hydroponics, by average, do not produce as high an amount of nutrients in their plants. Okay, that soil-grown plants are 16% to 60% more likely to have a higher nutritional value. So yeah, take care of the soil, and from there it'll take care of us, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good. So that sounds really interesting. And I'm interested in what are your business plans for this year? I mean, you said you have a launch now in the end of the month, but maybe what else going on?
So, okay, so we ran into certain political boundaries within commercial industry and agriculture, and we've been overcoming those since 2018 was when Rescaype UK was actually registered as a company. And since then, we've gone through a huge learning phase about the government legislative sector of environment, COP26, UN SDG integrations, all these things. And so I had been doing all these tests at home, and they were going so well. I've got photos on them and I use them now, and distributed to a lot of friends, and they were all having good results. And so we made a decision, kind of inspired by COVID, really, is that wouldn't it be nice if we could, for the first time ever, really bring a truly professional product to the consumer? Because there are other professional products in the farming industry that consumers cannot get their hands on and never will. That's reserved for them. But we can do it because we're an independent network. We're not bound to the system in place that controls the high-level fertilizer market. So yeah, here we have the first bags. Oh, I don't know if it'll do that, will it?
Yeah, no, I think because of your
yeah, I don't know what it is. No, there we go.
Shortly, I can say and see, we can see it. Yes.
Anyway, there's a little bag. We're going to be launching it, a soft launch, just a couple of 100 bags to get a feel for the insert packaging, how's it to apply, and then we're looking to maybe go into a grand launch in March, where we will make it available. Now, it is unfortunate at first it's only going to be available in the UK due to the incredibly ridiculous export laws that have fallen upon us with our Brexit situation here. And the ability to sell to other people in the world is somewhat restricted, but we will solve that. And we know how to go about it. We look to expect that internationally, we really hope to offer the product in time for the end of summer, which means that people could put it in this winter, and then come the spring, amazing things will happen. And they'll have a beautiful next summer produce of big carrots. One of our public people, they put some carrots in the ground, harvested them in October. And in March of this year, they went back and pulled a carrot this big out of the ground. I'm telling you, this carrot was 385 grams.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was delicious taste, and they really enjoyed it. And that's because Rescaype was there preserving the aeration in the soil so that the carrot didn't get compacted and rotted. So yeah. So nationally we do that, and the commercial, it's ongoing. We're dealing with Natural England, we're dealing with DEFRA, we're dealing with water utility companies, the usual selection of higher political networks. And I'm sitting on a couple of boards for new standards that will be presented to legislators for inclusion in new laws. So I'm trying to keep an eye on the political actions, put in some common sense where I can fit it in. Common sense isn't that popular anymore.
Yeah, okay, sounds great. So I'm interested in what you're doing in your office, or I mean private, to be more sustainable. I mean, you said you're coming from the film industry and going to sustainable. not only business, maybe also in private. So
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. In that sense, as the company itself and what we do for operations, we don't own any vehicles. We rent them when we need them,
okay.
and or we provide subcontracting. So that's kind of cool. Nothing. I personally do not own a car. It is a great impact on my life. It has taken a great deal of adjustment over the last 3 years to grow to this. But I see where the faults of society are, where everyone believes they need a car. And they don't. So this is a real, like, I'm doing it. I am one of the people, right? So that's that. We always use fully recyclable. It's quite interesting. Our consumer product is one of the world's first fully recyclable Ziploc bags. So that's kind of cool, and we seek and we pay a premium for those service, ingest that can keep us. We use very little actually in the way of the carbon production value of the material itself, because it's been around a long time, and it is actually governed by the powers above. And we are a very small player in the industry, yes? Tiny.
Yeah.
I am the plankton to the whale of the industry. Okay, that's how small we are. We're working on evaluating the carbon value gram for gram production to use and output. So we do hope to come up with that information by summer. So that will at least give us a valuation of the product's use versus its generation. And we can only but cross our fingers all here right now and say, please come out positive. Please come out positive, because it does use natural gas. This is really important.
Yeah.
Nobody, and we've been using it on the planet for 70 years. Not that much of it, though. It's quite interesting. It's a really, when you look at other products, like they put down 80 tons of wastewater sludge on a field in agriculture now, right?
Wow.
To fertilize it. Yeah, 8 tons. And you're going to put down 10 kilograms of Rescaype to preserve that 80 tons.
Yeah.
That's so that's 80,000 kilos, and you're going to use 10 kilos of our stuff to secure your 80,000 kilo of dangerous material. Because if all that ends up in the surface water, all that muck, slurry, sludge, then we're really done for, as we know, because it's happening all the time anyway. So, part of that big push. So we tried to say, look, it's a chemical, but its impact is certainly, exponential 10 to its, as far as when we start talking about volumes needed. So it outstrips the old. So now, and this is interesting actually. So it's a micronized product. Yes, we said, and we pull it apart. That will be the future of all products, all fertilizers, all amendments are all going to end up in this micronization to bring down the amounts. So, in a way, we're leading the way in a certain way to also adopt new technological methods of production. So I don't fly anymore. We don't fly. We do virtual. I even drew down several meetings that I certainly could have driven to for 3 hours.
Yeah.
But I don't do them anymore.
Yeah.
We can do it virtually, and that's good enough for now. When we have to get together and shake a hand and sign the paper, I'll be there.
Yes, sure. That's right. Okay, then thank you very much. Maybe we can close this podcast with the words, be patient to soil, and have a look on the soil so you get better plants out of it. And yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Lena, and everybody. Take care.
How did I get here again?